Hey there, how are you today? I'm jumping in with a little realization that I've been going through today and the past few days, and I wanted to share it with you. I wanted to explain what it's like to wrestle your thoughts, to take ownership of your thoughts, and to create some new habits and beliefs that are going to help you get where you want to go. So I've taken the last few weeks to really step back from things and create the vision that I want for myself going forward. Now, we often think that we know where we're going. We think we know what our vision is. And then if you stop and check in with that, sometimes it's shifted and sometimes it's changed. Or sometimes you realize you have no bloody idea what you're here to do, who you're here to be, who you're here to help, or all of that crap that goes with that. So we put so much pressure on ourselves to have everything figured out, to have all our shit together, and to know exactly which path we're on. Now, the reality is that that is just not possible, or that is not the reality for many of us today, right now. For many of us, we are on this journey of evolution and growth, and we're out there doing all the things and trying all the things, and to be honest, feeling completely lost and frustrated. And put your hand up, let me know if that is you right now, because I swing from knowing exactly where I want to go to sitting there in frustration and doubt and fear and heaviness and mind shit. Oh my Lord, is the mind shit fierce. Now the mind shit is fierce because I am stretching myself to grow, and I'm stepping into a vision that I can see and I can feel it and I can taste it and I can sense it. But the stories I've had going on repeat, the narrative I've had that led me to where I am today, those stories are not going to get me to the vision that I have for myself. Part of them will, some of them will, most of them won't. So what I have been wrestling with in the past few weeks, I guess it is, by really stepping back and paying attention to, first of all, the vision that I want to create for myself and why that vision is so important to me, and also checking in with and taking ownership of the thoughts that I currently have and whether they will serve that vision, whether they will allow me to step into that vision that I have created. Now what happens is our thoughts are contagious. Whether they're positive or negative, they are contagious. And if we have one bad thought, that catches another bad thought and another bad thought and another bad thought. And all of those thoughts wrapped up with a big lashing of emotion on top, because that's what we do as a human being, is we throw emotion to everything. That becomes a new belief. And that belief then becomes a new habit. And what we do over the years is we create all these thoughts, and we have all these stories and narratives that go on around us that we, create meaning from, and we take them into ourselves and our consciousness and our belief system, and that's how we move forward in the world. And then we start to believe the stories that we hear around us, whether they are directed at us individually or not, but we start to take those stories on and we start to see them as reality and as truth. Now, what I've discovered, and I'm not the first one to discover this, but what I have discovered is that most of these stories are not true. They are not reality in a general overall sense. They are your current reality because that's what you believe. That is the thought that's on repeat for you. That's not necessarily the reality. That is not necessarily the final page of your book, the final page of your life. It is simply a chapter. And I think that it's really important that if the chapter you're currently sitting in, if the chapter that you are reading right now is not the end of your story, then you need to keep moving, and you need to keep moving, and you need to keep moving. So when we are wrestling with these thoughts and these stories and these beliefs, it's really important that you take ownership of them. And what I mean by that is sometimes these beliefs and these thoughts that we have, they're not very nice, they're not very kind, they're quite limiting, actually very limiting. And that's not going to serve you into the vision that you have. So, for example, I was chatting to a friend of mine this morning, and her story was, I don't know what I'm here to do. Like, I don't know what that bigger vision is for me. And there was frustration there. And whenever I hear frustration or whenever I feel frustration, there is a negative story behind that. There is a negative belief pattern or habit that is formed that is blocking that desire and that dream that you have. So if you have this desire, if you have this dream, if you have this idea of something you want to create in the world, and you know deep inside you can do it, Even if you don't have the actual skill set right now, you know that if you can see it, then it's possible, right? You have that first inclination of belief that, wow, that's really amazing and I could do that. And then what happens is we go and try and do those things and frustration will come in and stories will appear and they'll hold us back. They'll fill us with self-doubt. They'll stop us from doing what we need to do. And then what happens is that story and that belief becomes our new reality. It becomes our habit. So we're never actually realizing that dream that we have. We're never actually realizing, or then we start to completely doubt the vision that we had for ourselves. We're thinking, well, I'll never get there. I'm not that person that's able to do that. And what I want to challenge you with today is to take ownership of those thoughts and those stories and those beliefs that you are carrying around with you every single day, whether you realize it or not, and start to face them head on and really ask, is that true? Is that story or that belief or that thought that you're having on repeat again and again and again, is that really true? Now, it might have been true up until this point, until you'd faced it full on and said, actually, I want to pay attention to this and see if this is serving me. But if you look closely at that story, at that belief, at that thought, at that excuse, and you see it for the bullshit or the mind shit that it is, you can then challenge it, you can then acknowledge it, and you can start to move through it. So let me explain it this way. If you are down on a busy street, you're in a new city, you're trying to find your way around, you haven't been to that city before, and it's all crazy and exciting, and you know there's all this emotion wrapped up in that, and you're on this busy street, and you don't really know where to go. You've got a sense of I need to be somewhere, but you don't really know where that somewhere is. And you're on this busy street and you just can't you're looking out, but you don't kind of know where you need to go. All you can hear is the noise and the bustle and just the whiz of life going around you. Like it's so busy. It is so, so busy. And what I want you to do is if you are stuck in that busy place where you can't really see where you need to go and it's really busy and it's really hectic and it's really crazy and you're feeling a bit overwhelmed and you're feeling a little bit frustrated or a lot frustrated, I want you to take a step back. I want you to get off that busy street. I want you to find somewhere that's elevated. Find a park. Find a building. Like this is an analogy here, but find a space that will allow you to get off that busy street, to get away from that noise and that traffic and that busyness and that rush of everyone else around you. And everyone else in the street is probably just your thoughts, your processes, your beliefs, all of that habit stuff that's playing around and buzzing around like busy traffic in your head. Take a step back. Rise above that traffic, rise above that street level, climb a hill, go up a building, whatever your thing is, and look down on it. Just rise above it and look down and just see it for what it is. Lots of busy little things that don't actually mean much when you're looking from high above. So if you think about I'm not ready, I'm not good enough, I don't know what I'm here to do. If you say those things to yourself often enough, they will be contagious and you will believe it. What I want to challenge you to do is to start to face those stories and those thoughts head on. So what I did this morning, I was wrestling with some new stories that I had discovered. Again, I've been stepping back and I've been climbing that hill and elevating above the noise for the last few weeks in this discovery process. I'm a discovery coach. That's what I do, is I step back and I analyze and I discover what's next. I stay really curious to what's next. I'm all about connecting the dots. It's in me. I can't help myself. I have to connect the dots with things. Now, I find it really easy to connect the dots for other people, probably 10 times easier than to connect my own dots. But my curiosity is such that I have to connect these dots. It's what I'm here to do. It's who I'm here to be. And some days that's frustrating, some days it's not. So what was I saying? Okay, so this morning and like the last few weeks, I've been connecting the dots and really facing up to these stories that I had around my vision, why I could do it, why I couldn't do it, why it wasn't happening, and I started to check in with where the frustration was coming in and why I wasn't following through on certain things that I said I was going to do. Okay, we all do that. No one is perfect. None of us have our shit together in this sense. And that's why I'm raising this. That's why I'm doing this video, to show you and to share with you the process that we all go through. And what I found when I started to raise these stories, I was sharing them with a friend of mine this morning, and I said, okay, this is my reality. This is what I'm thinking. These are my excuses for the week. And I went through all of these validated, completely justified reasons of why I wasn't doing what I wanted to do this week and what had been coming up for me and all of the things. And then I said to her, right, now reflect back to me what you see and what you hear. She's someone I trust completely. She's someone that knows me well. And she was able to reflect back to me what my initial thoughts were, in that they were just stories. They were justified, and I could completely validate them if I really wanted to. But at the end of the day, they were simply stories that I had created because of a negative thought that had been on repeat, and therefore had formed a belief, and therefore had created the reality that I was in. So it sounds quite simple, doesn't it? If we have a negative thought, and then we have it again, and then we have it again, and then we have it again, that forms a belief, and that creates a habit of thought. And then before we know it, we are just believing that that is our reality, when in a sense, it's not. We can turn that thought around today. We can turn that thought around tomorrow. You just need to know what to pay attention to. So when she reflected that back to me, I was very thankful and very grateful, because it did confirm a few things that I had suspected. And then I did the same for her. I said, right, now what's going on in your world? And we talked about a few things. Now her thing was not being clear on her vision. I don't know what my vision is. I don't know what I'm here to do. But that was her thought process and her belief around, she didn't know what she was here to do. She didn't know what her bigger vision was. Now I can see things for her that she can't see for herself right now. And we have scheduled a call to go through that, and for me to help her discover that element, to really step into the vision that she has. And that's the thing. Quite often we are so ingrained in our own story and our own thoughts and our beliefs that we can't see them. We are so emotionally attached to them. We are so familiar with them that we don't see them as just simply an outfit that we've put on and we've forgotten to change. You know, it's probably a bit smelly by now, and it's probably a bit ruffled, and it's probably due for a changeover. But it's really important that you get that external perspective. When you are stuck in your head, when you are on that busy street of thoughts and ideas and frustrations, and you just can't see where you need to go, then you need to elevate and step back and just take a different perspective on things, and to get some external feedback on what's really going on for you. So as you're watching this, if you're on here live, say hello. If this resonates, let me know. If you're coming back to the replay, I would love to know how this is resonating with you, because, you know, like I said, as a discovery coach, I do this stuff all the time for people. And what I've been doing lately is connecting a lot of dots around why we get so stuck and why we get so frustrated when we are trying to create or step into the visions that we have and the ideas that we have and the businesses we want to create and the people we want to become. And quite often we get stuck in the, you know, what am I here to do? What am I here to do? What am I here to do? What's my purpose? What's my passion? All of that crap that we fall for and we fall into along the way. And what I want you to start to ask yourself instead is not, what am I here to do? Like, what's my thing? What's my purpose? What's that idea? What's that program? What's that course? What's that business? None of that. That is the wrong question. Hey, Amanda, how are you? The question you want to start asking is, who am I here to be? Who am I here to be? Am I here to be frustrated and playing small and worried and stressed and self-centered? Or am I here to show up in the bigger, brighter version of myself? Am I here to stay curious? Am I here to stay open? Am I here to be engaged? Am I here to serve? Am I here to help? So what we need to do is we need to change the story. We need to change the question that we're asking ourselves. It's not, what am I here to do? It's not believing that I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what my thing is. I don't know what my vision is. I can't do these things because, or yes, but. These are all stories and these are all excuses. And what I want to help you do is to flip those around and to see them for what they are. Mind shit, the stories we believe that keep us playing small, and help you focus forward and to create the vision that you know is waiting for you. You haven't quite been able to figure out how to get there yet. So if that resonates with you, and if you, so Amanda's saying, hi, lovely, haven't come to say hi, I hear you. Yay! I see you, Amanda. It's all good. We're all out there doing our thing. And it's just so amazing that we keep stepping into the ideas that we have, even if we don't know where they're taking us. And that's the beautiful thing. When we stay open and curious, like, you know, who am I here to be? I'm here to be open. I'm here to be curious. I'm here to experiment. I'm here to play. If you show up from that place, that is going to get you to that bigger vision so much sooner than if you sit stuck in that question of what am I here to do? What is my next idea? What is my next product? What is my next iteration? It's the wrong question. We need to sit with staying open and being curious and being okay with that uncertainty and that fear and that doubt and all of that stuff that's wrapped up in it. It's all part of the journey. So Amanda and anyone else that's watching, it's really important that we stay open and curious. And if you have a bigger vision that you can see and you've got frustration because you're not getting there, there is a story and an underlying belief that is stopping you. It's really simple. It's not always easy to identify it, but it is really, really simple. Hey Doyle, how are you? So yeah, I mean, this has been a journey for me. This has been a journey of many, many, many iterations in business because I was always focusing on what's the business, what's the idea, what's the product. And I've created a lot of businesses or business iterations over the years in lots of different arenas. But I kept asking the wrong question. I kept asking the question of what am I here to do? You know, the do word, instead of who am I here to be? And when I dropped the question of what am I here to do and I started asking who am I here to be, that is when everything has shifted. That's when everything has changed for me. And it hasn't been easy. When we face up to the mind shift, when we take ownership of those thoughts that we have and the beliefs that we have and the stories that we've created, when we take complete ownership of those without judgment or blame or guilt or any of that, it's just taking ownership and accepting responsibility for the stories that you are living by. When we do that, we take control back and we have the power back in our own self of what we can do next. When we keep living on default and we listen to those stories day in, day out without even realizing, and our default is to follow that thought process, to follow that belief and to follow that story, nothing's going to change. Nothing will change. And you will be 6 months down the track and 12 months down the track and 5 years down the track with the same narrative going on and on and on. The same story on repeat again and again and again. And you'll be even more frustrated because 12 months ago you said you were going to do this thing. 2 years ago you said you were going to do that thing. And it still hasn't happened yet. And all it is a belief and a thought. Those thoughts are contagious, remember. That is on repeat. It has become your default because you have not taken ownership of it. And again, taking ownership of something is really empowering. It's a bit messy, it's a bit uncomfortable, there may be tears, but that's okay. I'm a big believer that tears are a complete part of our growth. But if you want to grow and you want to step into the ideas that you have to take ownership of your thoughts and your beliefs and your habits and the stories that you have created that have got you exactly where you are right now. Now, some of those stories that you have created may be serving you. And that's the other thing when you take, no, we're back. My Wi-Fi is dropping out. When you take ownership of your story, you then have the power to master it. Now, mastering your mind shit or mastering that story is you must acknowledge the story to edit or rewrite it. Okay, you must acknowledge the story to edit or rewrite it. That is mastering your mind shit. Now, your mind shit, again, is the stories we believe that keep us playing small. If you don't take ownership over them, you can't then identify them as yours. You can't acknowledge them. You can't assess them. You can't see if that's serving me or not, and then edit or rewrite it. You know, create a new story in place of that one. So I'm all for creating stories to live by now instead of, staying stuck in that frustration, staying stuck in that self-doubt and that fear and that uncertainty of, oh my God, what are people going to think? Oh my God, I'm going to stuff it up. Oh my God, I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to make a fool of myself. I'm getting over that. I'm not cured, but I'm getting over it. And I'm showing up instead of asking, what am I here to do? I'm asking, who am I here to be? I don't want to be stuck and frustrated anymore. Okay, I want to be open and curious and exploring and experimenting and making the most of the opportunities that are out there. So this is my little nudge to you today to take ownership of your thoughts. If you have any frustration around the things you want to create and they're not happening for you and you can't understand why, another 6 months has gone past and another 6 months and another 6 months, I want you to sit down and take ownership of the thoughts and the stories that you have created and just face them and really look into them. Is that story, is that belief true? Yes, it's true in your reality, but is that true in the general sense? If someone came to you with that story, that exact story that you're playing on repeat, if someone came to you with that story, would you let them get away with it? Or would you urge them to look at things differently, or to try things differently, or to try something different? So that's the question I'm asking today, in a very waffly way. So yeah, we need to take ownership of our thoughts. We need to wrestle the stories that are keeping us playing small. And we need to validate and appreciate and celebrate the stories that are helping us grow. And if you're still watching this video, or any of this is resonating with you, then some stories within you, some thoughts and some beliefs you have that are ingrained with you right now are serving you from a growth perspective. They are forming your growth narrative. And that's really important. You hang on to those stories. There's a part of you that believes and knows that you can do better, and that you can go out and do the things that you want to do and achieve the things you want to achieve. But there's another story that's fighting that. So it's like a little tug of war. It's like two toddlers fighting for the same toy. It's like, I want it, no, I want it, no, I want it, no, I want it. And our brain, our mind is so hardwired to resist change that whenever you do try and change and stretch and grow and become a new version of you, there will be tension, there will be frustration, and there will be angst in that, the undoing and the peeling back of those stories that are underlying. I often say that I am so glad I got to meet the person that I've become, and this version of me, this version of Tash, is ever evolving. I don't think I will ever settle for just going, oh, okay, so this is who I am, right, got it, thanks. I think every day is a new opportunity to learn and to discover and to grow and to explore. So Mandy's saying, thanks for this nudge. Time to connect with my stories and beliefs and make sure they aren't in my way. Exactly. Can I see the rest of it? No. That's it. Our stories and our beliefs are so ingrained that we don't often acknowledge that they're there. And we get into this habit. 95% of our actions are habit. Our brain is so good at, okay, we've had that thought once, twice, 3 times. Great, I'm going to create a habit, and that's our default from now on. That's our story. That's what we live by. That is our belief. Now, that's great if it's a story that's serving you, but if it's not a story that's serving you, then we need to take it back. We need to zoom out, take a look at that story, see why it's coming up, and see how we can replace that or edit that and rewrite that. Because I want you to create stories for growth. I want you to create stories to live by. I don't want you to sit there saying, I don't know what my vision is. I don't know what to do next. I don't know what I'm here to do. I'm not ready. I'm not good enough. What are people going to think? I can't do that because I'm not that kind of person. Whatever the narrative is, just please pay attention. Take ownership of it. No blame, no guilt, no judgment. Just take ownership of it. And if it's not serving you, if it's not there for your allowing you to step into the person that you want to become, that you know you're here to be, then wrestle with that baby. Like I've been wrestling with mine. And these stories they keep coming back. And you wrestle one down, and you wrestle it, and you get rid of it, and you take control of it, and another one will appear. It is an ongoing journey. But once you understand the process, it's much easier to navigate that and to wrestle those stories with ease. Some stories will be easier to replace and rewrite than others. So that's my little caveat. Some of them they've been there that long that they do not want to budge. They've moved in, they've taken stock, they've settled into the corner, and that's where they want to stay. But sometimes we have to evict them, we have to move them on to somewhere else, and we need to dust out that attic and clean that space and create a new energy, a new story, a new thought, lots of new thoughts, new habits, new beliefs, new stories. So I'm starting to go around in circles now. I really just wanted to jump in and share this with you, that we all have stories that we wrestle with, but until we take ownership of them and acknowledge them, we can't replace them. We can't edit them down. We can't rewrite them. And so long as there is frustration in your life around what you want to do and what you want to create, there is an underlying story or thought or belief that is stopping you. It's really simple. So I'm leaving that with you today. If you have any questions, then please pop them in the comments here. Send me a private message. Reach out in any way that you want to. I really want you guys to understand and see that the most important story of all is the one that we tell ourselves. That has been my biggest lesson in the past however many years I've been on this journey. The most important story of all is the one that we tell ourselves. So make sure it's a bloody good one, okay? Make sure it's going to serve you and get you to where you want to go. No more settling, no more playing small. Pay attention, take ownership of those stories, and let's replace them with ones that are going to get us where we want to go. All right, Amanda, so great to see you here. I love seeing your little updates on Facebook, and I hope you're doing amazing. I'm sure you are. And yeah, I would love to chat to you all soon. So stay in touch. Let me know if this resonated. If you know someone that needs to hear this message, then tag them in this post or share it. Because I think we go through our day on repeat, day after day, frustration after frustration, without paying attention to what's really going on. And that's what I'm here to do, is to help you see the stories for what they are. All right, I'm going to love you and leave you, and I will talk to you soon. Take care. See ya.